Hello, can you hear me okay? Anne, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
Awesome. Good afternoon, Nick. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, I can hear you loud and clear.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Elmer Hinojosa, can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Thank you. How you doing, Nick?
Doing good, sir. And yourself?
All ready for this meeting.
Yes.
The week has flown. It's crazy. So,
They tend to do that, unfortunately.
so as people are logging on, I'll make sure everybody's speaker's working. And should be a quick agenda except for whatever Anne has.
It won't be as long as the pre-planning meetings. That's
Great.
those things we're required to do, but yeah.
Understood. Thank you guys.
It was secondly like a second meeting, right? In my defense, but yeah. I'm gonna try to be concise. There's some stuff to get through, so some of it will just depend on how much the group wants to discuss.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Hi, May. We made sure we had quorum before the meeting, just to make sure.
I did not make calls to confirm, but as of now, I've only had two let me know that they were not two voting members let me know that they're not going to be available.
Okay.
So they're really good about notifying us, and I did receive two of the new members saying that they'd be here. So
Awesome. Glad to hear.
I'm more than sure we'll get a quorum. I know that usually chairman and his staff will make the calls as well to make
Yeah.
sure everyone's there. So
Great.
To look at it.
good afternoon, Mr. Allen. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. How are you doing today?
Doing well, sir. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
Commissioner Fuentes, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you. I'm just trying to finish up a phone call.
Understood, sir. Thank you,
I'll be
Commissioner.
here on standby though.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Chairman Garza, good afternoon with special guest Ernie from Willacy County.
Yes, sir.
Can y'all hear me okay?
He got lost and ended up at the Longhorn Steakhouse in San Benito.
Very easy to do. Very easy to do.
Yeah, we can hear you well.
Okay, bueno. Good to see you, gentlemen.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Salinas, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I'm fine.
Thank you, Ms. Salinas. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you.
Mr. Estrada, how are you, sir? Can you hear me okay?
Doing good. Yeah, we're good. Thank you.
Thank you.
And no wonder it's kind of the sky is a little cloudy and
Hoping it'll have a reaction being early.
yeah. Well, you said it, I didn't. Yeah. Nicholas, how are you today?
I'm doing good. And yourself, sir?
Doing well. Good to see you.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
So what's the scuttlebutt? Is the new money coming through the Water Development Board or is it gonna go elsewhere?
Well, I'm currently on the BRT team, and session one ended, was it last Friday, and then they gavelled in special session two. So all Monday I was reanalyzing 300 bills along with everybody else here at TWDB on the BRT team, and it looks like a lot of refiles. There are some new ones that we didn't have, the 89th dash one session, but unfortunately, it doesn't look like anything. It doesn't look like a lot of things for the RPGs specifically. There are some
Okay.
things that the RPG probably could use, but as of right now, I can't really comment on anything. But make sure
Sure.
to look through some of these things. I'm sure there's some funding opportunities that y'all might be able to advocate for through y'all's representatives.
Good, yeah, we got some calls, so.
Good, glad to hear.
How do we put it the other way? Where everybody's on the side like that? Oh, over here. Yeah. Where? Try gallery?
Mr.
Yeah.
Kent, can you hear us okay?
Yeah, view. Try gallery. I can't see gallery with the reflect. There we go.
Can we drop a light?
No. Yeah,
Michael Kent, can you hear us okay, sir?
3, 4, 5.
I don't know if your speakers, we can't hear you, Mr. Kent. Your microphone might be muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Welcome.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody. Elijah with GLO here.
Tricasa, thank you for joining, sir. Welcome.
Daniel Lucio on there.
Daniel Lucio emailed Chairman that he was going to be a little bit late. He had a meeting that was running over.
How about Mr. Dale? Hudson,
Dale did not reach out, sir.
okay. Joey,
Joey did not reach out. Joe Khalifa did send me an email earlier this week that he was not going to be available. He'd be traveling.
okay. We're gonna text Joey, see if he's,
Yes, sir. As we stand, we're one shy.
how about, Mr. Caso?
Texting him now, sir.
Okay. Ben Escobar is on, no.
I did not hear anything back from Mr. Escobar, sir. No acknowledgement or that he was not going to be able to attend.
How about Mr. Kent?
Mr. Ken is on the line, sir. He's up there.
Oh, I see, okay, yeah. How are you doing, Mr. Kent?
Ms. Salinas is on. Commissioner Fuentes of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Okay, so. did you
Just
text
one
him?
shy of quorum as of now, Chairman. I texted Mr. Caso already.
Okay. I guess if nothing else, we'll wait for Daniel to come on.
Good afternoon. This is Kara Smith with the Texas Department of Agriculture.
Welcome, Kara.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Mr. Escobar, looks like he's logging on.
Okay, yeah.
You want to make
That
sure he
would do
hears
it.
us okay? Mr. Escobar, can you hear us okay, sir?
Yes, I do.
Perfect.
Thank you for joining us, Ben.
Thank you for having me.
You made our quorum today. We have a quorum present, right, Jaime?
Yes, sir. If you'd like, I can
Okay.
conduct a roll call, Chairman.
Yes, sir. Go ahead. Well, let me call the meeting to order and of course, welcome everyone that's new to us, that is just joining us for the first time. Thank you so much for agreeing to serve on this critically important committee, at least to us, you know. It seems that other folks sometimes don't realize what we're doing, but we're doing our best to make sure that word gets out and people understand, you know, the opportunities that what we do presents to their communities and to our region. So that being said, Jaime, would you please do the roll call so we can establish officially the quorum?
Yes, sir, Chairman. Thank you. David A. Garza,
Present.
Commissioner David Fuentes,
Present.
Mr. Daniel Lucio, Mr. Daniel Lucio, Mr. Hudson Deoy, Mr. Deoy, Mr. Joey Trevino, Mr. Rene Estrada.
Present.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Joe Khalifa did email that he was going to be out this meeting. Mr. Jose Caso, Pepe Caso. Commissioner Ernesto Garcia. I see you there, Commissioner.
He's present.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Troy Allen,
Present.
welcome to Region 15, Mr. Allen.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Ben Escobar,
Present.
thank you, Mr. Escobar. Welcome to Region 15.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Raul Peña. Mr. Raul Peña. Miss Annabelle Salinas,
Present.
welcome, ma'am. And Mr. Michael Kent.
Present.
Thank you, Mr. Kent. Welcome. Mr. Willie Cupid, non-voting members, Mr. Willie Cupid. Mr. Adrian Perez. Mr. David Ramirez.
Present.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Manny Cruz. I see him logged on.
Present. I'm present.
Thank you, Mr. Cruz. We have Mr. Nick Collins from Water Development Board on the line. Thank you, Nick. Mr. Elijah Casas.
Here.
Ms. Michelle Garcia. Mr. Nick Gallegos. Mr. Ramon Macias. Ms. Shonda Mace did email that she wasn't going to be able to attend today's meeting. Ms. Kara Smith.
Present.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. And Ms. Jamie McCool. Okay. Chairman, we have quorum and we're ready to begin the meeting, sir.
Thank you so much, Jaime. We will go ahead and do item number 3, which is discussion, the review of the written public comments received. Do you have any public comments that you have received in your office? Jaime?
I'm checking right now, make sure we don't have anything online. No, sir.
Okay, we'll proceed then to item number 4, discussion and action as appropriate to consider approval of the minutes from the previous meeting of July 16th of 2025. Everybody got an email of the minutes?
I did receive some comments back, Chairman, on some revisions that were needed. Voting member Ms. Salinas pointed out that we had a typo for item 7, so that since has been corrected. Also for item 8, we had a misspelling of Ms. Salinas's name. That's also been corrected, and we will issue out for signature once they've all been revised accordingly. Yes, sir.
Okay, good. I'm glad somebody else besides me also caught them.
Yes.
So thank you so much. We can, with those changes and typos, we can go ahead and move to approve them. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second from Fuentes.
Second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The minutes are approved with those 2 typos being taken care of before I sign the official minutes. Item number 5 is discussion and update from the Texas Water Development Board, and I think we've got Nicholas with us that we're gonna depend on to give us an update.
Alrighty, good afternoon, RPG 15. I did want to remind all voting members, if you are present and doing items or approvals, you're required by RFPG bylaws to have your video on at all times, or you are not meeting quorum. So if you are a RFPG voting member, please do turn on your video. Thank you. Going forward, TWDB is hosting a technical conference call on September 12th, 2025. If y'all have any questions, please submit them by September 5th, 2025. You can send them to me, or you can send them to the regional flood planning email. It's and I can put that in the chat after this. The TWDB made some updates to Exhibit C technical guidelines. These are also available on our second cycle planning page or documents page. We are not going to be updating technical guidelines for Exhibit C anymore. Our deadline to do that was by July 31st. So as of right now, they're not going to be updated. That is the final guidelines that we put out. TWDB sent an update regarding a third amendment to the 2023 RFPs on 7/31/2025. There will not be a third amendment as the SFP is aligned with the 28-29 fifth cycle. However, if there is still interest, and I have talked with Ann and Jaime about this, if there is still interest, feel free to email me about it. I can't guarantee that it will change. However, I can't guarantee it will not change. So please do feel free to reach out and let me know and express your interest if there is interest in that. Freese and Nichols will also be coming around to region meetings in person and online. I believe they're going to be coming online to Region 15. They'll be presenting about the new nature-based solutions manual they have created in collaboration with TWDB. They should be reaching out for coordination about the meeting they will be attending. So Jaime, I'm sure you'll probably get an email about that. And then TWDB sent out a newsletter. Newsletter has been posted to our website, summarizes communication and actions by the board from February 2025 to July 2025. And if y'all, I know this is after we also had an RPG meeting before this, after July 4th. If there is any questions that happened with July 4th, you're more than welcome to email me. I can't guarantee that I can comment on all of it, but I will comment or at least respond to any questions y'all do have that I am able to respond to. And I believe that is the end of my updates, unless anybody has any questions.
Any questions for Nicholas? Okay, if not, thank you so much. Make sure you keep those dates in mind. And if you have anything that you need to send in, please add that to the chat box, Nicholas, at the email address so that we can go ahead and have it available. Just for the sake of what you brought to us up on the requirement that this meeting is being recorded. So that being said, I'm going to go back to item number 4 and redo the approval of the minutes. Ernie, and Commissioner Fuentes, second?
That's correct, sir.
Okay. And just for the record, you know, there's a couple of typos that will be corrected before I sign the official minutes. We will approve them as presented with the 2 typo corrections in there. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All against, same sign. Motion carries. The minutes are approved officially on record with all our faces on there, Nicholas.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Item number 6, approval and certification of administrative expenses incurred by the planning group sponsor for the development of the regional flood plan. Jaime?
None to present at this time, Chairman.
Okay. Wait till you get my bill for the new letterhead.
Yes, sir.
And I encourage you to start using it for our meeting agendas too. Item number 7, discussion and possible action as it relates to voting member attendance. We have this on the agenda because we've had a concern with one member in particular that has not been in attendance on a regular basis. If you could bring up the information, Jaime, and share it with us on the screen, it would be appreciated.
Chairman, I apologize. I don't have the attendance record on the screen to show to y'all, but the last attendant meeting and only attendant meeting was in October of 2023, sir.
So since then, I guess that's enough of what you could show us. Since then, this individual has not attended any of our meetings after being called and encouraged to get on and try to get him interested in joining our group. So as a result of that, we have as a board a duty to make sure that we have folks on this board that are willing to attend, or at least let us know reasons why they can't. But if they miss 3 meetings in a row, is my understanding, according to our bylaws, we have the authority to terminate their position on our board and then advertise for recruitments from other folks to join us, Is that so, Jaime?
That is correct, Chairman.
So what I would like to do is leave it up to all of you, what your thoughts are. Please share them, be verbal, we just need to know how to proceed with this, because it's challenging sometimes to get our quorums together. Everybody's so busy with doing their own thing. So any thoughts? Well, I'll start picking on the guy sitting right to my right, Ernie.
I guess, I know we met last on the July 16th. So are we meeting monthly,
Well,
quarterly, or is
we're
this because
meeting-
we're planning?
We're meeting as needed.
Okay.
Sometimes we meet every 2 months or every 3 months. Sometimes if it's required by Texas Water Development Board that we come up with certain things, we have to meet monthly. But it's kind of been unusual. In the beginning, we were meeting monthly.
I guess it's probably before I came on or
Right.
right at
Yes.
that time. The only thing is that at times I have issues logging on by Zoom. I don't know if that's other issues anybody's having. That's a minor technicality. The notices are going out, well. I know that I had my admin trying to log on in Willacy right now. She couldn't. Same problem we were having here.
Yeah,
So anyway, but maybe Teams, I don't know.
I don't know. Do you have accessibility to Teams? And I know that's not on the agenda, but Jaime and I can.
We
can
have
work on that.
accessibility to whatever the region would like, Chairman. In this case, with this particular member out of Starr County, just for everyone's, they had 8 meetings out of 25 that were scheduled. The majority attended by proxy, which was a total of 7. The member himself, or the last one attended, was, like I said, October of 2023. So, just by the bylaws and the day set of missed meetings, there is an item to remove the member if we've got a majority vote on this item.
Yeah, any other thoughts, from the rest of you and it's not a matter of, we're not faulting Mr. Peña. We just want to make sure we get someone that can help us with quorums and hopefully some ideas, thoughts, and, input to our meetings. Commissioner Fuentes, any thoughts?
Well, there's a reason why this criteria is in the bylaws, and that's because we want engaged and active participating members. So the more engagement we have, like you said, the more diverse opinions and a more comprehensive discussion about how we can put solutions in the ground or on paper. So I'm of the opinion that if this gentleman or person doesn't, and it could be anybody that doesn't want to actively engage in these meetings, that we should, pursue trying to find somebody who will.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner. Rene?
I know that, thank you. I have, in the past, we had been a part of the effort to reach out to our Starr County counterpart. And we were hoping after that effort that they would then resume actually participating or start participating, but that has not happened. My inclination is to try to find somebody else from that region. And I will be happy to try to help because we do want, the reason we're talking about this, the individual member, is because we value their opinion, because they represent the area. So we don't want to leave those citizens in that area unrepresented. So if it's possible, yeah, we could explore a replacement, and we could start by removing the person. Yeah.
And that's how we have to start, okay?
Yeah.
And thank you for your offer to help to encourage someone from the area to run. Mr. Kent, any thoughts?
Thank you, Chairman. I recently attended a Region M meeting, which is also associated with TWDB. And I know they mentioned attendance from their members or their voting members and giving enough notice if someone was going to miss out, and then the ability to attend virtually. And of course, as Nicholas had mentioned, having the camera turned on. So I think having this ability to meet virtually and being able to provide notice if they can't attend or not would allow us to effectively carry out this group's mission. So
Okay. Thank you, sir. That kind of explains. Troy.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I agree with everybody who spoke so far. I know it's difficult sometimes. People have a lot on their plate, but with the option of a Zoom meeting or a Teams call, it makes it a lot more accessible for people to utilize. But also, if we have an item on the agenda that takes action, we need a quorum. And if somebody can't do it because things have changed in their current situation, then they ought to step up and say, look, it's not working for me anymore. Put somebody on there who can participate and be a voice for their section of the region.
Thank you, Troy. Annabelle, I know you're new, but you're into the frying pan.
I totally agree. If for some reason he can't participate anymore, I mean, it could be personal work, whatever the circumstances, that can't stop us meeting quorum.
Okay.
To be able to take action. So I agree. We should remove the member and look for someone from that area.
Yeah. Ben, any thoughts?
I would have to agree with everybody else. You haven't attended a meeting in over a year. I think it's important to look for somebody, hopefully from that area, that could fill in that seat and contribute so that we can not only meet quorum, but actually try to serve the constituents in that area.
Okay, thank you so much for your comments. So I guess at this point I am open for a motion to remove Mr. Raul Peña from his current position due to excessive absenteeism, as shown by his attendance record and as required by our bylaws.
Question.
Yes, sir.
Does the item have to have his name on it, or can we take it as it is?
We can take it as it is.
And with that said, I make the motion that we remove
You
the member.
seconded because Ernie made the motion.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I'll second that then. Yes.
Any other discussion?
Yes. Thank you.
If not, all those in favor, either say aye or raise your right hand on the screen.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries unanimously. Item number 8 is discussion and approval to solicit nominations to fill the vacant position. And Jaime, just kind of give us a brief process that we will now follow to fill this vacancy.
We'll send out exactly as it says, Chairman's solicitations for nominations. We'll send them out to every county clerk within the Region 15, to all counties so they can post. We'll do the solicitations. I think bylaws is 15 days, but we should do 30 days to allow everyone to see it, and then hopefully if some of the non-voting members, voting members can encourage participation, and that'll give us a bigger pool. But we'll do this we'll start the solicitations probably next week on Monday, Chairman.
Okay, sure.
And if you want, we can leave it up for 15 days a minimum, or do a 30-day.
I would say 30 days, Jaime, because it's kind of
sir.
hard, Okay.
Yeah, it comes quick. Yes, sir.
Yeah. And this is for a county position, right? On the
Yes, sir.
interest
Yes, sir.
category.
The interest category is counties. Yes, sir.
Okay, so it could be any county between here and Maverick County.
That's
So
correct.
anyone that has anyone that they know or that would like to be considered for this in this area, and you would like to encourage, please feel free to make a call or two, okay? Because what we want is participation from some of the area northwest of us. And hopefully we already have somebody from Cameron, we already have somebody from Willacy. We have Commissioner Fuentes from from Hidalgo. I know he's with the drainage district, but you know, in essence, he's bilateral, you know. He's with the county and with the drainage district because they serve in two positions over there, which is great. We get the best of both worlds. So, you know, please make calls if you can to do this, and we'll keep it open for 30 days, Jaime, okay?
Yes, sir, Chairman.
The other thing I want to remind folks of is that if you would like to name a proxy to stand in your place in case an emergency or something comes up that you have, you are more than welcome to send Jaime a short notice, an email, and name a proxy, and that can become very helpful. I know that I've used a proxy before, and I know Commissioner Fuentes has used a proxy before, and you know that it works for us, especially trying to get a quorum going. Okay, so keep that in mind.
Yes, sir, Chairman. Thank you for that.
Okay, number 9.
I just need
Discuss-
action. I just need action to
Oh.
solicit, Chairman,
Okay,
or to fill the vacant voting position.
I need a motion.
I move.
Okay, Mr. Kent, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Garcia. All those in favor, raise your right hand or say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, Jaime, you got
Thank you,
us
sir.
legal.
Thank you.
Item number 9 is discussion and update from technical consultant. We have Ann, I believe, with us that will give us an update.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us, Ann.
Oh, I'm glad to be here. It's nice seeing everybody.
Yeah, and for those that don't know Ann, she is with Halfin Associates. For some of our newer members that are on the screen, she's been an integral part of the whole process that we've been doing and with the planning group and creating the document that has been created and leading us in the effort to make sure that, you know, we pre-position ourselves for opportunities, hopefully to come in the near future. Go ahead, Ann.
Great, thank you, sir. Yeah. So thanks for being here, everybody, today, and welcome to all of our new members. I'm going to give an update on our efforts since our last meeting in July, specifically related to Task 1, which is the description of the planning area, Task 2A, which is an overview of existing flood risk, Task 3C, which is a review of our goals from the last cycle, and hopefully everyone's had a chance to review that document I sent out a couple of weeks ago. And then we're just going to give a quick update on our outreach efforts and the status of the amendment to the 2023 plan that was submitted on April 1st. There we go. So we're on item 9, and then item 10 and 11 are some areas where we might be requesting discussion and possible action. I'll let you know in the presentation when those specific items come up, and then we can decide if we want to discuss them while it's sort of current with the presentation, or if we want to wait till after, and I'll wait for your direction in those regards. So getting into our presentation, I'm going to hand it over to Alicia Smiley with Black & Veatch. She's one of our sub-consultants, and she's going to give an overview of the work they've been completing with respect to Task 1. So Alicia,
Thank you.
There you go.
Good afternoon. I'm Alicia. I'm also here with Jamie Burke, who is the project manager for the Region M Water Supply Planning Group. Chapter 1 provides a detailed description of the Lower Rio Grande Regional Flood Planning Area, covering key factors like flood risks, regulation, infrastructure, and impacts on communities and resources. The list you see is roughly in line with our chapter section headings and the scope as dictated by the Texas Water Development Board. Next slide, please. Chapter 1 highlights demographic and economic trends. Between 2030 and 2060, the region's population is projected to grow by 9.3%, with urban areas gaining and some rural counties declining in population. This compares to last cycle's projection of a 62% population increase over the same 30-year or over a similar 30-year horizon. This large difference is due to changes in methodology, including source data, how the Texas Water Development Board addresses decreases in population, and potential undercounts. So these projections were adopted by the TWDB during the 2026 state water planning processes using the updated 2020 census data and migration trends from the Texas Demographic Center. Unlike previous cycles, the TWDB now allows for projected population declines rather than a maintained population. And also, the Pew Research Center recognized nationwide statistical undercounts of demographic cohorts and reported that certain demographic populations were undercounted by up to 5% nationwide. So all these in combination contributed to the lower population projections than last cycle. Economically, the region's median household income ranges from $31,000 in Brooks County to $66,000 in Kinney County, averaging $47,000 across the region. This is below the state median household income of $75,000. Still, this marks an increase from last cycle's regional average of $37,595. All economic information was provided through the U.S. Census Bureau. This cycle, we also show a change in how social vulnerability is assessed. The 2023 plan used the CDC's Social Vulnerability Index, the SVI, which measures general vulnerability across 15 demographic indicators on a scale of 0 to 1. For the 2028 plan, the TWDB adopted the Flood Social Vulnerability Index, which is the FSVI, which is a modified version of the SVI designed specifically to assess a community's vulnerability to flooding. This shift reflects a more targeted approach to identifying communities that may face greater challenges before, during, and after floods. Chapter 1 includes an updated 100-year flood quilt from the TWDB. The flood quilt is a statewide data set that stitches together multiple sources of flood hazard information into one comprehensive geodatabase. It serves as a starting point for regional flood planning groups who can refine and expand it based on local data. This new version builds on the last cycle's effort and was last updated in January 2025. Since the last cycle, one major flood event has been added to the list of historic flood events. DR 4871TX in March 2025. The storm dropped 5 to 20 inches of rain across Starr, Hidalgo, Willacy, and Cameron counties and caused more than $100 million in property damage. Chapter 1 establishes a list of political subdivisions with potential flood-related authority. In the 2023 cycle, the TWDB provided an initial list, and the Regional Flood Planning Group was tasked with identifying entities with flood-related authority. So if you refer to handout A in your meeting handouts, which is in your agenda packet, you can see that detailed list. So this cycle, we are asking you, the Regional Flood Planning Group, to confirm and update that list. For example, between last cycle and this cycle, Santa Cruz Irrigation District 15 and Hidalgo County Water Improvement District 3 have since merged into Hidalgo County Consolidated WCID. So if you have any suggestions to that list, please email region15@half.com. Next slide, please. Chapter 1 reviews the flood risk regulations in the region. Currently, 91% of eligible entities participate in the National Flood Insurance Program, the NFIP. There have been no changes to NFIP participation since the last cycle, with the most recent update having occurred in 2014. Under Texas law, NFIP participants are required to adopt a floodplain management ordinance, designate a floodplain administrator, and ensure compliance with NFIP standards. Chapter 1 also highlights ongoing flood mitigation efforts funded through the flood infrastructure funds. These efforts fall into 4 categories. Category 1 supports watershed level flood planning. Category 2 covers everything from design to construction and rehabilitation. Category 3 provides matching funds for federal awards. Category 4 focuses on measures that protect life and property. These categories reflect the range of strategies being used to reduce flood risk across Region 15. And last but not least, this chapter includes an inventory and assessment of existing flood infrastructure, both natural and constructed. This cycle, additional guidance was released with information how each asset and all flood infrastructure should be evaluated for condition and functionality. We also have to indicate confidence in this assessment. The confidence reflects how reliable the data is. High if it comes from the asset owner or a study, low if based on attribute assumptions, and none if no data is available. And however, this data has been limited. We have evaluated storm drainage master plans for 14 utilities and irrigation districts and maps for 3 other utilities, which means we have some information on the stormwater management systems. We are again asking the Regional Flood Planning Group for guidance to help improve the breadth of this assessment, particularly for dams, levees, low water crossings, and constructed coastal infrastructure. Similar to the question 3 slides back, we are asking you as stakeholders in the region if you have any information on any particular infrastructure, on the condition and functionality of that specific infrastructure, whether it's reports or data, to please email region15@half.com. And that should be all unless y'all have any questions.
Okay, thank you, Alicia, for the update on task 1. We'll just move right on into task 2A, where I'm going to give an update on what is included in the existing conditions flood risk analysis and where we stand to date in completing this task. So the existing conditions flood risk analysis focuses on 3 key items. First, to identify existing flood risk across the region using the best available data and input from local community stakeholders and members of the public. Second, to perform an estimation of flood exposure, which takes the existing flood risk data and determines where those flood risk areas will impact Region 15 communities with respect to agricultural impacts, street flooding, and of course, flooded structures like homes and businesses. Third, we need to identify those areas that are most vulnerable to the potential impacts of flooding. So in total, assessing these 3 items helps paint a broader picture of the overall level of flood risk across our lower Rio Grande flood planning region. Earlier this year, Texas Water Development Board provided each region with preliminary existing flood quilt data that was pieced together from the data listed on the slide. And you already saw a quick picture of this during Alicia's presentation on Chapter 1. The data comes from various sources, all of which have been ranked by Texas Water Development Board in order of decreasing preference for inclusion within the flood quilt. The ranking is indicated in the middle column, and based on this ranking, data from FEMA's National Flood Hazard Layer, or NFHL database is given the highest preference, followed by base level engineering data, NFHL data from approximate study areas, First American Flood Data Services, which is mostly historic FEMA data, and lastly, other potential sources, and there's some examples listed there. All the sources in the 3rd column within the other category don't represent a ranking by Texas Water Development Board. Rather, it's a listing of potential data sources that may be considered by the Regional Flood Planning Group. In Region 15, data sources utilized in the current draft Texas Water Development Board flood quilt are comprised primarily of NFHL data and base level engineering data. This slide shows 3 separate figures that highlight the data coverage by source across the region. The middle figure that uses the orange solid fill shows those counties where we have NFHL data available. And again, that's the highest, that data has the highest rankings. It's based on regulatory floodplain data. The counties that have the orange crosshatch indicate that there's no NFHL data available within those counties. If you move to the left, the blue areas show where we have base level engineering data, and then the blue crosshatch shows where BLE data is not available yet, but it is in progress and it is anticipated to be ready soon. As may be observed, BLE data is available, across much of the area except portions of Brooks, Kennedy, well, sorry, all of Brooks and Kennedy, and then portions of Jim Hogg, Star, and Hidalgo County, and the northernmost extent of Willacy County. The last image on the right, with the areas of green shading, were not available to Texas Water Development Board for inclusion in the preliminary flood quilt, but represent areas where data is available from a recent GLO river basin study. The models cover a significant portion of Hidalgo and Willacy, along with the Huck 10 area in the southernmost Cameron County area, along with the coastal area. The models were all calibrated and went through an extensive review and approval process by an external review team. As such, we're recommending that this data replace BLE in the hierarchy where these sources intersect. The GLO study also included additional area in Starr County, but since those methods were not calibrated due to a lack of available gauge data, combined with the fact that there wasn't significant differences observed between BLE and GLO sources, and I'll show you a little bit what that looks like here in a bit, we're recommending to use the BLE data in Starr County as provided in the Texas Water Development Board flood quilt. This similar reasoning was used when we looked at some local study information that was available, including some recent studies that were done in Kinney County and for the city of Del Rio. In the areas, the existing flood condition data wasn't substantially different than BLE, and they were not calibrated models, and they covered smaller areas relative to what we're looking at with Huck level analyses or the GLO study. I would like to emphasize, though, that the data from those studies will still be utilized within the planning process to evaluate and rank FMPs. In fact, it's required to have your FMPs included. So just because it may not be included in the existing flood quilt doesn't mean that that data is not useful and not being leveraged in the plan. So just to briefly zoom in on a couple of the regions where we're proposing that the GLO River Basin Study data be used in lieu of the BLE data. This map shows the area in the vicinity of Edinburgh and Hidalgo County. The blue data is the BLE data set, and then the purple is the data from the GLO study. And so you can see this would add many areas of additional flooding to the existing flood quilt. This is the same map, basically, with the same color schemes, but zoomed into the Raymondville area in Willacy. And then this is the southern and coastal Cameron County map. And so in this region, we do have some areas with NFHL data, which would take top priority based on the Texas Water Development Board hierarchy. But we do have a lot of areas that were not covered, that don't have coverage from NFHL, that GLO data is picking up. And so we're proposing to swap out the BLE for this GLO data set in this region. This basically shows what it would look like altogether. The blue-green color is the National Flood Hazard data, and then the purple data is the GLO. So the combined kind of coverage from those two data sets is what the existing flood quilt would look like if we proceeded as we're recommending. And then this is an example of one of the areas where we weren't recommending to go through the process and all the effort to update the flood quilt for task 2A. This was the data from the study in Del Rio. You can see there's some small pocket areas where there'd be additional coverage, but nothing substantial. And again, though, but we still would be using this data to evaluate and rank FMPs. So it's still critical information to have and still would be leveraged in the study. We're just not necessarily recommending that we go through the process of updating the flood quilt based on the fact that it's not substantially different from the existing BLE data set. So this slide reflects what we'd ultimately be proposing for the preliminary existing conditions flood quilt. Again, that NFHL data where available would be the preferred source. BLE data is leveraged for the 8 counties in the northernmost part of the region, along with a narrow strip along the Rio Grande and Hidalgo County. GLO data, where available in Hidalgo, Willacy, and Cameron counties, would be utilized. And then for right now, we have Fathom data to fill the gaps where there's neither NFHL or BLE coverage in Kennedy, Brooks, and portions of Jim Hogg, Star, Hidalgo, and Willacy. I mentioned that it is anticipated that that BLE data in that region is going to be available soon. And so if the timing works out, I think it would be advantageous to take a close look at that and consider amending the flood quilt with the updated BLE information as opposed to using Fathom. So the flood quilt includes a characterization of the flooding type based on whether it's riverine, which is the dominant type in Region 15, along with coastal flooding and pluvial flooding, which includes urban flooding areas. And then, like last cycle, we have coverage for both 100 and 500 year, but during this cycle, the second cycle, we're also incorporating 10-year rainfall data. So before we move on to our update on Chapter 3, I'll note that item 10 on the agenda is a discussion and possible action on the proposed existing condition flood quilt hierarchy. I don't know if that's something everybody wants to talk about now before I move on while it's sort of fresh in everyone's mind, or if you'd like to come back and address that kind of in the order of the agenda.
I think if we can address it in the order of the agenda, it'd be good.
Okay, we can do that. So we'll move on to task 3C. And this is where we are asked to set flood mitigation and floodplain management goals. A lot of effort was done during the first planning cycle to develop goals for Region 15 around the framework depicted on the slide. The goals need to be specific and achievable. The RFPG was asked to consider both short and long-term goals. You have to consider the residual risk that remains even after a goal is achieved. And the group must determine if a given goal should apply uniformly across the entire planning region or on a sub-regional basis based on different local considerations. Excuse me a sec. So we spent a lot of time during the first cycle developing the goals and the short and long-term targets. There was insufficient resources during the first planning cycle to develop baseline conditions. So we attempted to begin doing the research and develop baseline conditions for those 2023 goals. We included that information in the handout where we had it available. There's a few we're still trying to figure out. But I hope everyone's got a chance to at least briefly look at that. The goals were all developed to fall under one of 6 overarching categories, and those are displayed on the top row of the slide. They include education and outreach, flood warning and readiness, flood studies and analysis, regulatory and guidance, property acquisition, structural elevation and flood proofing, and then flood infrastructure projects. And they were all tied to meet specific objectives that we have displayed in that first column. I'm not going to go over this anymore because this was in the handout. So the next 7 slides in the presentation, or actually I think I added 2, they list all the goals that were developed during the first planning cycle. And then I have the short and long-term targets and the initial baseline that we've been able to estimate. I will note that there was a couple of goals that were missing from the document that I sent out to you. I apologize for that error. I've since added them to this presentation, and so they're the ones that are in blue text. And I'll point those out specifically on each slide. In the interest of everyone's time, I wasn't planning to review every goal in this meeting unless you want me to. But if anybody has any specific questions, we can discuss those items now. Or if the group feels that there's a lot to discuss and a lot of changes that need to be made and want to take a deeper dive into the baseline conditions and setting goals for the next cycle, we might consider either developing a committee that could have like a separate meeting to workshop through those and then come back to the group with a recommendation, or having a separate meeting just to go over goals, because that can take a bit of time to get through, and I want to be respectful of everybody's time right now with everything else we have on the agenda.
I think on that end, I think it would be wise for us to set up a committee to then present to the full board, what their recommendations and suggestions are and why. And we can get a more technical group or volunteers. What I would suggest is that if anybody is interested in serving on this committee, to just text me or chat me or whatever, and we will make sure and include you so that you will be called by an individual that will be responsible for this. We can set it up through my office, so just let me know.
Very good. We can do that. I'm happy to help facilitate a meeting specifically to dive into this. I will note that we do have to have these set by the time we submit the technical memo in January 7th. So this would all need to kind of happen pretty quickly. And we'd have to come back and get approval from the regional flood planning group before December. So just making sure everybody's aware of that. So if that's the case, I think maybe we'll just skip through all these goal slides for the time being if we're going to have a separate committee. The only other thing I guess I would like to point out is that we are being asked to set new short and long-term goals based on the timeline with this planning cycle. So we would need a 2038 short-term goal and a 2058 long-term goal. And we can discuss this more with the committee, but I think since we didn't have baselines the first time and we haven't been able to say the improvement from the 2023 plan, we could either use the same goals during this next planning cycle, or we could do some kind of an interpolation between the short and long term to set future short term, and then like extrapolate the long term goal. But I think that's something, if we're going to have a committee, that can be workshopped at that time. So I guess I will just skip through all of the goal slides. And we'll just go into the chapter 4 update. I'm going to start with an update on the amendment that was submitted on April 1st, and then go into what we're doing right now with in terms of identifying and evaluating new potential FMXs. So on April 1st, we submitted the amendment to the 2023 Regional Flood Plan to Texas Water Development Board. It included 89 new FMEs, 11 new FMPs, and 35 new FMSs. The submittals included 30 communities across the region, and some of which, some of those entities submitted multiple FMXs. So on July 28th, we received an RFI from Texas Water Development Board, and it had 40 minor comments that were all primarily related to some small inconsistencies between the geodatabase and the report tables. A lot of those were from the previous version of the plan prior to the amendment, and just some things that needed to be cleaned up. All those comments were addressed, and the geodatabase and tables were updated accordingly, and they were resubmitted back to Texas Water Development Board on August 13th within the requested timeline. During our last meeting, we had 2 entities, Cameron County and the City of Harlingen, that inquired about the possibility of adding additional FMXs to the 2023 amendment. So we've discussed this request with Texas Water Development Board, as Nick mentioned, and they're still evaluating whether they can be incorporated, but they have requested that we submit a formal written request from the entities describing the project, its need, the budget, and why they're requesting it to be considered with this amendment. So I reached out to representatives from both entities. They've responded that they're working on it, and I'm just waiting to receive those so we can pass those on to Texas Water Development Board.
Is there a timeline on that end?
I wasn't really provided one. Nick, I don't know if you want to speak to that. I told them when I communicated to them that the sooner the better, but I was not given a specific deadline.
Yeah, because sometimes it's better to have like a drop dead date. Otherwise, things can linger.
Yes, I'm gonna follow up probably after this meeting. Both had indicated that it would be available this week, but I just haven't received it yet. So I'll follow up with both of them personally and see where they're at.
Thank you.
Sure. And then after our last meeting, we talked about this a bit in July. We did post a request across all Region 15 to collect new FMXs for consideration in the 2028 Regional Flood Plan. And so we haven't received any FMX submittals yet, but we have received responses from several entities that they plan to submit FMXs. We've had a few phone calls and meetings as well, and we continue to reach out with targeted emails. We've had posts on our social media sites. We've set up meetings, both virtually and in person. The Lower Rio Grande Valley Development Council has been helping spread the word amongst their contacts. And the Stormwater Task Force as well has been reaching out to municipalities within their network to review all the FMXs that were submitted in the previous cycle to make sure that they're still accurate, and see if they have any modifications to them, and then inquire as to whether they have new FMXs for consideration during this planning cycle. We'll continue this effort through the submittal deadline that's been set for September 19th. And so the last section that I'd like to update on today is in regards to our outreach efforts, which I've already kind of hit on with the call for new FMXs, but I'll just bring a few specific things to your attention. We are currently planning to hold a public meeting in Weslaco at the UTRGV Center for Innovation and Commercialization on September 10th with a virtual attendance option. The meeting will be held from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. and consist of a brief presentation on the flood planning process, guidance on how to submit FMXs, and a presentation of the draft existing conditions flood quilt. After the presentation, we will have an opportunity for meeting participants to review the data and provide comments and identify other potential areas of existing flood risk that were not identified in the draft map. In addition to that meeting in Weslaco, we're currently trying to schedule another meeting in the Laredo area around the same time frame. We're reaching out to some folks right now to figure out potential places when we could schedule that and availability, but I'll keep you posted when that meeting is able to be scheduled. That one will also have a virtual attendance option as well for anybody that can't attend in person. It's not necessary to attend both, but we're hoping between the two that we can get some good participation across the region. The public meeting was advertised on the Region 15 website or posted on the Region 15 website, as well as on our social media sites that are listed on the slide. We recently added a LinkedIn account as well. I encourage all of you to visit these sites and follow us to help us build a presence on social media. The platforms will all be much more effective if we start getting more kind of following, and if we're posting things and you all are viewing it and liking it, that kind of helps us spread the word across the social media network. So I encourage you all, if you haven't, to go visit those sites and help us build that presence on those platforms. We posted the FMX request flyer on these sites as well, and we're going to continue to do reminder posts and updates over the next several weeks. And this is just kind of finally to reiterate, I think I've said everything on the slide, but we're logging all the communications and outreach that we're doing for documentation purposes. And we're really hitting it hard from now until September 19th, when we have that deadline to submit FMXs. So we're working really hard to reach out to folks and make sure we get everybody's projects that they want to include this cycle. So that's it for the presentation. I think if we go on to item 10 now, as Chairman, I'll hand this to you, but what we're looking for is sort of approval of the hierarchy that we're proposing for the existing flood quilt so that we can move forward with that for our public meeting. We need to share that information at that meeting and get input on it. But we need direction from you all first if in terms of your thoughts on that data hierarchy.
Okay, Ann, I will open it up for discussion from anyone online in the meeting. Any questions of Ann? Any issues with any of what she's presented to us? Any clarifications? I guess maybe I should ask, is anybody online?
Yeah. How does everybody's internet went out with the water?
I know there's been
Here.
some, yeah, I know there's been some issues with rain and water and intermittent internet issues, so, if not, if there's no questions or comments on this, or any discussion, I will, at this time, entertain a motion to accept the presentation from Ann in regards to our existing conditions and the hierarchy of how we will address the issue, and also to include the setting up of a committee so that we can, I'm gonna call it like a technical committee. I think that'd be the best thing to do, Ann. And then you can email me and give me like an outline of the process so that then I can call on some folks to help us with that and arrange with you to move forward with it.
Sure, will do.
So I'll entertain a motion from someone to accept what we discussed for item 10.
So moved.
Is
Fuentes
there-
second.
Thank you, Commissioner Fuentes. All those in favor say aye. Aye, or raise your right
Aye.
hand.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay. Item number 11 is discussion and possible action on flood mitigation and floodplain management
We had that in case, if everybody wanted to take action to proceed with the goals or targets, but since I think we decided that we're gonna have a separate committee to dive in
Yes.
a little deeper, this is unnecessary.
Yeah, so we'll go ahead and skip that item, and we will get on that committee as soon as you forward me an outline and again, if anybody wishes to serve, please say so on the chat box or text me or email me, okay? Or Jaime, okay? And then we'll get the committee organized and ready to roll. Jaime, on item number 12, any public comments? Anyone sign up to give us any public comments?
You just confirm online, Chairman. No, sir. No comments received as of now.
Okay, thank you, sir. Item number 13 is considered date and agenda items for the next meeting. I think we're gonna leave this fluid for right now. We'll post the solicitation for members or for member on the vacancy, and shortly thereafter, and after the committee meets and gets things rolling, we will see what we can schedule, when we can schedule the next meeting, and we'll let everyone know with plenty of notice, okay?
Okay.
Sounds good.
Is there a hard deadline besides the 7th of January that we have on any other item?
There are some other things that we'll have to, so as we're receiving FMXs, we'll come back after that deadline to present that to you.
When is that deadline, Ann?
September 19th is what we have it set for right now. The public meeting that we're having is specifically to get comment on the existing flood quilt. And so now that I have your approval to present that during the public meeting as we proposed, we'll get any additional feedback on that. And then afterwards, we'll incorporate those comments and come back to you asking for approval for that existing flood quilt prior to the submittal of the tech memo. So there are some additional pieces, and I think to try to keep things efficient during the meetings, it is going to require a couple meetings before that January 7th deadline. But I think it does maybe make sense with the committee that's being formed that we might delay setting that for the time being until the committees get splits together.
We get the committee rolling, okay? Any other comments from any of the individuals online? If I hear none, the only other thing we have left is a motion to adjourn. I think I saw Commissioner Fuentes raise his hand. Okay, thank you, sir. Who else? Annabelle? No?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, thank you, Renee. Okay, second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thanks to everyone for their time this afternoon, and we will keep everyone informed on that committee date and time meeting. If anyone wishes to join the committee that's not on the committee is more than welcome always. So thank you so much for your time. Have a great rest of the day.
Thank you all.
Meeting
Thank you,
is
everyone.
adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You.